Welcome to today, Cut Through the Noise, How to Bring Bots to Life. Oh my dear, what an important conversation we're going to have, and I'm excited to have it with both our audience and our panelists. And we have a terrific partner, Quiq, who is going to have a phenomenal story on a great business messaging platform and service they provide, and a couple of great client case studies from Nintendo and also Stio, which you're going to learn about. And I love case studies because it really does bring things to life. And we're going to get through all of that. Welcome to today's session. It's great to have you. For all our U.S. listeners, next week is Thanksgiving. I'm going to wish you a happy Thanksgiving early in advance. And I do appreciate your listenership and so forth. My name is Chad McDaniel. I am the founder, president of Execs in the Know. If we could go to the next slide, please. A little bit of housekeeping, just so all of you are aware of. This presentation will be made available tomorrow. You will get a link of all the slides you're going to see, and you'll also get a full recording of today's session. So just so you know, you will have that information tomorrow. One thing I would ask is that at the end of the session, as soon as we finish recording and completion, you're going to get a link for a survey of today's session. I really, really would appreciate it if you give me a few minutes and answer some questions about how you felt of today's webinar session. So please look for that link. You'll get it right after we conclude. If we could go to the next slide. A little bit about us, Execs in the Know. I think a lot of you are familiar with us, but those that are not, Execs in the Know is just a very large corporate end-user sharing community. We recently relaunched our entire website, execsintheknow.com, to really serve up the content and make user experience very engaging and friendly. If you've not been to the site since the switchover, I would encourage you to go to execsintheknow.com. There's a tremendous amount of resources and other things available to you for the sharing community. It's all about leaders learning from leaders and how we as a group of leaders can help this industry elevate and succeed, especially as times will continue to change going forward with 2020 and then beyond. If we could go to the next slide, if you're in the Seattle area or you'd like to come join us, we have one more remaining face-to-face briefing. This is going to be hosted by Microsoft. It's an all-day briefing from 9 to 4. We've got 5 panelists, a very, very insightful conversation about the gig CX workforce and considerations that are taking place with the shared economy. If you can come join us for the briefing, I'd love to have you as our corporate guest. Just email me, chad@execsintheknow.com, and I'll be happy to send you some more information. If we could go to the next slide. One other final piece I'll make aware of is that for our corporate brands listening, end user brands, you really should join our online community called Know It All. This is where leaders are connecting on a persistent, ongoing basis, 24/7. The conversations that are taking place with our online community are beyond amazing, 100% engagement, extremely thoughtful. If there's anything you're looking to get answered by your peer group on the corporate side, I would encourage you to get involved with our online community. It is private, corporate brand only, but I would encourage you to definitely get involved. Hashtag get involved. You don't have to do this alone. There are many, many peers willing to help and assist. If we could go to the next slide. So that's my tee-up slides, and I want to get started now into the very important conversation. And you're going to get to meet each and every one of our panelists today. Lawrence Morserow with Quiq will have a phenomenal overview of their organization, including some of the unique things that they're doing in the messaging platform, rich business messaging platform. In many ways, they're moving the yardsticks for client organizations. Shelley Dow from Nintendo. Shelley, great to have you. You've been a long-time advocate of Execs in the Know, and I appreciate your involvement in today's conversation. A very important story. And then finally, Kim Messina with Stio. A lot of you may not have heard of Stio, and I can't wait for Kim to share more about this really cool company and what they're doing. She's going to share here shortly. So welcome to all of our panelists. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to go ahead and open it up now, making sure Kim and Shelley, you're both unmuted. And Shelley, let's start with you. If we could go to the next slide.
Sure. First, I'll give you a little bit about Nintendo's history. If you go to the next slide, Nintendo is known to be a global entertainment company whose focus is putting smiles on consumers' faces. What many people don't realize is that Nintendo has been around since 1889, so we have been putting smiles on faces for 130 years. And in our customer service and CX area, our mission is to restore smiles for anyone that had a problem with their product, and then eliminate frowns by making sure our developers get the information of what didn't work well so they can fix it for our next product. So that's me.
Well, we all know Nintendo very well. Great brand, great product, and I'm sure it's a very busy time of year with the holiday season coming up for you folks too, Shelley, so thank you for your time. All right, Kim, let's talk about your brand.
Yeah, so Stio was founded in 2011 by Steven Sullivan. At Stio, we create outdoor apparel for the epic to everyday. We all personally live the mountain life here in Jackson Hole, and it inspires everything we create. My role here at Stio is a customer experience manager, and creating the best customer experience from fulfillment to delivery and everything in between.
Well, as Shelley knows, we always love gift cards, Kim, in the community. So we'd love to learn more about your product and the things you're doing. You're in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is, as I mentioned earlier, what a beautiful part of the country, and I'm very jealous, Kim. But anyhow, great job, and keep things moving along. Lawrence, let's go to you in the next slide here quickly.
Am I on mute?
Yes, you are.
Okay, fantastic. You know, Quiq was built from the ground up to modernize businesses and contact centers. And we realized in order to do this right, you have to do it at an enterprise scale. And that's what we've done. So we've made a product that will modernize your channels. We've made it seamless for you. And then when you look at your CRMs, whether it's Salesforce, Oracle, or Zendesk, we integrate seamlessly with it. And if you're on a standalone product or you don't have a CRM of record, we also have our own standalone version. So we're here to help out everything from the Nintendos of the world and also the Stios of the world. And that is the shoe that really fits for us. And
yeah, and I was going to say, Lawrence, I really want to give a quick shout out. Thank you for your time. And I enjoyed the podcast episode with Mike, the CEO. And you guys have been a great brand within our community. And we've got a couple advocates here today. So for any of our listeners that are not familiar with your platform, I would encourage them to go to is it quiq.com?
GoQuiq.com.
GoQuiq.com. Okay, thank you. So we're going to the next slide. Was there anything else, Lawrence, you wanted to add? But I want to get into the conversation.
Nope. The only other thing I wanted to add is when you visualize what the Quiq platform does, this is a great representation of it. On the left-hand side, those are the asynchronous channels that we support. So whether a person is coming in from SMS or Apple Business Chat or web chat, our platform then supports those channels seamlessly. So that way it goes straight to your service department, e-commerce, marketing, or sales. So it's a holistic, platform. And we're going to talk more about this further, but I just wanted to give this as a visual to show how the glue is all put together.
Well, thank you. I asked in regards to, if we could go back quickly to our slide, Lawrence, and I don't want to pass that. So all of these channels here for our listeners, I wanted to define kind of when we think messaging, what are some channels, and maybe there's been a few we missed or whatever. These are all asynchronous messaging channels. I'd asked you, Lawrence, about web chat, and I had always viewed web chat to be kind of a synchronous sort of form of messaging. And then you had kind of clarified to me, if you could just do that clarification quickly here.
Yeah, my pleasure. So web chat is traditionally a synchronous channel. With Quiq, we've converted it to an async channel. The way that we've done that is, for instance, if I'm going to highlight with Nintendo, I could be on a web chat conversation with Nintendo, and I could leave the Nintendo web URL and go to like GameStop and go check out more Nintendo games. And then I could come back minutes later back onto the Nintendo domain and I could pick up right where I left off on that web conversation. So, or in that web chat conversation. So, creating web chat into asynchronous is, really powerful, and it's something very unique that we're one of the only ones that do that.
Yeah, and the other piece I wanted to quickly ask in measurement is when I think of Apple Business Chat or Google Rich Business Messaging, what do you feel, Lawrence, is the real adoption taking place with rich messaging, which is sort of the next evolution to SMS, kind of where you can include, I guess, more rich content, video-related stuff? Where do you see that adoption right now, or do you have any advice or suggestions there?
Yeah, I do. It's definitely early adopting, but it's adopting that's growing. And so like our numbers year over year or quarter over quarter in all of our messaging are growing exponentially. And we're seeing how the drop of SMS is going down, smaller in its percentage, but the gains are going over into Apple Business Chat and Google RBM. Apple has made massive investments, like especially with this latest release of iOS 13, to really bubble up Apple Business Chat easier to the user. And so that's where we're seeing the biggest gains are definitely coming from Apple Business Chat, also known as ABC in the marketplace.
Perfect. Well, let's move on. And for our listeners, maybe a little bit later in the conversation, I could get your guys' input to what you feel or seen with rich business messaging type of next evolution. So why messaging? But I want to turn to our panelists here. Since going live with messaging, what has been the biggest impact? And I'm going to start with you, Shelley, at Nintendo. What has been some of the big business impacts? Or actually, I'm going to start with Kim at Stio. My apologies.
Sure. So the biggest impact for us would be agent efficiency. We launched web chat first and then went to SMS. And we went with bots early September. And you can see here on the slide, just by going to SMS, our call reduction was an instant 9%, which was huge for us. Customers don't want to call, usually call when there's something going wrong. Where SMS, web chat, and with the bot in play has really increased our agent efficiency.
And what time frame was that around, you said, Kim?
So we launched SMS in May of 2019, and then we launched the bot in early September.
Okay, so you were in the traditional chat at the time, synchronous type of consumer support and response at the time, and you got to SMS. And we're going to talk more about results and outcomes, but that's sort of been the journey. I like the 9% instant phone call reduction. I'm sure there'll be questions on that.
Yes, great.
Shelley, for you?
So for us, if you flip to the next slide, there were some reasons why we wanted to get an SMS. And the first was that we could tell that it was a channel of choice for our demographics of customer. We were really interested in that asynchronous communication so that they didn't have to be tied to a computer the whole time they were talking to us. We wanted to get the gains of concurrency so they could take more than one conversation at the same time. And we knew we eventually wanted to get into bots, and that being a text-based channel was going to be the best way to do that. So if you go, I think 1 or 2 slides forward, the biggest impact that we had for our customer was customer acceptance. And go 2 forward. So in a recent study, even that Execs in the Know put out, the Customer Journey Insights, it says about 22% of customers actually wanted to be in SMS, and we beat that number. We had like nearly 27% of our customers overnight acceptance of that channel, which was great. It didn't deflect phone calls right away, but we have seen that when our phones are busy, people will definitely move over to SMS. We did see a reduction of our AHT, our average handle time, by half, and more importantly, our agents absolutely loved it. But I also wanted to share that when we moved into SMS, it was a little over a year ago, and we had some pretty big growing pains. The first thing was figuring out how to forecast for it with concurrency. The second thing was our chat and SMS tools were two completely different tools. And so we could not train a text-based agent. We had to train an SMS agent and a chat agent. And so one of our big concerns with being able to move forward, especially with bots, was that we didn't want to have to design bots for two different types of text-based channels. So we really searched hard for a platform that would allow us to bring those two together. And then really most importantly is we had to get very clear on what topics could be covered in a text-based channel, because the consumer frustration was really high if they got attached to an agent, and then we said, oh, well, we're going to need to collect your credit card, so you need to call us. So we did some interesting changes on that, in which, since we were on the phone with them, we knew their phone number right then and there. We just said, hey, can we give you a quick call? And that seemed to help. But those were some growing pains over this last year before we even went to bots.
Some great suggestions, Shelley. Thank you. And if we could go to the previous slide, Lawrence, and I'm going to back up a couple of steps here. Before we get into bot, I want to clarify some things around messaging. First of all, Lawrence, I'm going to direct this way, or I'm happy to answer it. Lauren, for our audience, keeping in mind, Lauren, thank you for your question, and I'm sure others have the same question. Can you define synchronous versus asynchronous again? Do you want to do that, or would you like me to?
No, you can.
Okay, so Lauren, the best way I'd put it, and please, if anyone else on the call here would like to do it, synchronous communication is communication that basically happens concurrently for like all involved parties. I think of like face-to-face communication, Lauren, or communication channels like phone or video, where I talk and then you talk and then we talk, and it requires kind of both parties to be simultaneously involved. And then with the asynchronous component of communication, it's really where it happens sequentially, where I guess through an exchange of messages, we can read and respond to prior messages according to my own schedule. I don't have to sit there and wait. I can do other things, take care of life, take care of business, so to speak. So it's not necessarily coordination of schedules of us being on the phone, or participants together, I should say. So I would think, Lauren, of asynchronous communication, which you all should be thinking about for your customers, because the ease of use, the time and efficiency, I could go down a list. But, you know, I think of instant messaging like Facebook Messenger, WeChat, Twitter, direct messaging, SMS, those type of stuff. I know, Lawrence, would you want to, you're more of the expert around this, would you add anything to that?
Yep, no, that was absolutely perfect. You know, Lauren, you probably asked that question with the confusion of the web chat. You know, when you think of a traditional web chat provider, you're having that async conversation, yes, back and forth with the agent. But then the moment you close that browser window, the moment you hit X and close and end, it's now over. And so that's why I wouldn't say in a true sense it's asynchronous, unless you're using our platform where we can continue where the conversation left off. But yeah, great explanation, Chad.
Yeah, another thing I would really advocate to the listeners is that, you know, for the last 10 years, I've been running this CX leadership community called Execs in the Know, and I think about the last 5 years, the transition of consumer expectations and adoptions, depending on channels, and we could have a whole nother conversation about that. But I really would encourage the brands listening, especially as we're moving forward to 2020, wherever you're at in your journey of messaging as a channel. I mean, you know your customers the best and what channels they want to support and resolve with you. But I really would encourage you to making this a significant part of your roadmap based on what we're seeing in our stats and research. Happy to get any of that with our corporate and consumer index research. You can just send me an email, chat at Execs in the Know. I'll share with you all our 2019 findings and what we're seeing with adoption. So feel free to mail that out or email me out that. I guess mailing would still be part of a traditional channel. In person, we still do that. We still email, we still have in person, and we still have telephone, so let's not forget those things. But why messaging? That's what we're here to. So back to our panelists. What kind of cost savings has your company seen? Shelley, you alluded a little bit. I think Kim, you alluded a little bit. But would there be anything else, you know, just anything else you'd want to add there that you can share?
I think for us, this is Nintendo, I think for us, the reduction by half of handle time for each topic that was taken on SMS was tremendous savings over the course of a year. So that was a big win. And then when we were able to bring the two channels together, we were then able to get the economy of scale and use agents across both the channels. And so we were able to see some training time savings, and certainly satisfaction of agents went way up.
Okay. And before, Kim, you jump in, Shelley, I want to clarify, in your messaging journey, when did Nintendo start messaging, such as SMS? And go ahead.
We started messaging about a year ago, right before last holiday season, and then we started using bots just about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Shelley, continuing down that path, I can imagine in your overall support volume, we don't have to get specifics, but I can imagine Nintendo, quite a large enterprise, there's lots of different volume that takes place in support resolution. What have you seen in the adoption and probably just consumer reaction, or, you know, in that last year, year and a half when moving to SMS, what were some of the learnings you saw or observed fast forward today?
Yeah, I think our biggest learning was we knew that customers were going to like it, but we had no idea they liked it as much as they did. And so we have been chasing resourcing of the channel, and which was one of the reasons why we needed to look at bots, was so that we could actually service the customer in the channel that they wanted to be in, because it was pretty obvious they wanted to be in SMS and chat with us.
And a general question, and maybe Kim or Shelley, you could answer from your perspective. Lawrence, help me out. You know, why the hesitation for people to maybe move to a messaging type of capability? What causes the delay? What is the angst? What's the issue? Just based on everything we're seeing, research and trends, and where some of this is heading. Any perspective any three of you could provide to that?
So this is Shelley. I think one of the biggest things is that the first thing that happens when you open this channel is that really what you're doing is increasing your funnel. So your total volume goes up until you can get really clear on being able to service to complete resolution within the text SMS channel. When that happens, then you start to see the reduction on the call volume side. But I think that's the first thing, is it's like, oh my gosh, am I actually going to get any deflection of phones, or am I just going to increase the funnel? And just know you're going to increase it to begin with, but then it slowly migrates over.
Shelley, there, and training is a big piece of that too. Training can be a little nerve-wracking, and how much time a manager is going to take to train that employee on this new platform. I can say that you know, our platform we use is very intuitive, very easy to use, and like Shelley said, once you get that training completed, it's pretty seamless from there.
And I'll just second that to Chad's point. I think when people look at turning on new channels, you get nervous of the idea of, how am I going to staff for it? How am I turning it on? Contact centers are usually slow to, quick adoption. And then to Shelley's point, after you've turned on messaging and you've enabled it, you'll notice that there's the reduction in phone. And, that's a one-to-one relationship with your customers. And with agents to text messaging, you can have as high as 1 to 4, 1 to 6, 1 to 8. So it works out really well. You just got to get over that hump of making that decision of saying, yes, I as a business want to open up a new channel to my business.
I think another point, though, is that you have to be really clear of what can be handled in a text-based channel. So anything that requires any PCI can't be done in that channel. And so you either have to upfront make sure the customer knows that so they don't attempt to use it, or that you have a way to satisfy them when you get to that point in the messaging. And being able to have that level of granularity and be able to direct the consumer to the right channel for what you can help them with is really critical for the success of it from the customer effort perspective.
Absolutely. And you know, at Quiq, we've been working on the PCI front, and we have these new tools that we have some rolled out and some that are coming out in the future even, where this way people, if they need to send over like credit card information, we pull it out of the text message and it goes into a separate window. They can properly fill it out and then it can be submitted back over to the agent. So, you know, Shelley brings up an excellent point of trying to figure out when you want to facilitate PCI the right way. And at Quiq, we're trying to address that and make those possibilities happen.
No, I agree, and excellent points. I'm sure we've missed a few others along the way. I want to turn back to Kim, and then we're going to move off messaging and move on with the webinar. But Kim, I think of your brand and where you're at in the journey of this. So you said since May of this year. We have a lot of other people, early adopters, I think, in the community, maybe sort of newer brands, high growth, high sort of startup disruption, whatever they're doing in that regard. You're in the retail environment. Is it all online, I assume?
We are primarily e-commerce, direct to consumer.
Okay, e-commerce, direct to consumer. Well, I'm going to have to go buy me a jacket on your site. A little tough in Phoenix, but I'll get one. But I wanted, Kim, because your lens is very new or fresh, I want to go to this question on messaging. How do your agents, employees like it? What's been the, you know, let's talk about the pluses and minuses or other considerations. I know you referenced training earlier, but fast forward me 6 to 8 months later, where are we at from an agent perspective experience?
Sure, I've actually been a longtime customer of Quiq with another brand previously before Stio. And when I moved to Stio in June of 2018, the first thing I did was turn on chat. So we started with web chat, and then we went forward with Facebook, and then that's when we turned on SMS in May of 2019. So I can say, as I've seen messaging grow throughout the years and the months, that we are in a great spot now for our agents to be able to efficiently handle customer interactions, whether that may be a simple product question or it may be just finalizing their order. And like Shelley and Lawrence mentioned, you know, completing that checkout process is on the roadmap for us as well. And I would say it really enhances my agent's ability to help the customer and improve that customer experience from start to finish efficiently. You know, like I said before, no one really wants to call you if they don't have.
Perfect. Well, Kim, again, as you're moving through that life cycle, please keep us informed. We'd love to hear continued stories with it. We're going to move on, but Lawrence, before we do that, I get this question, and I'm going to bring it out from Paul. Thank you, and it ties into what Shelley said earlier. Why are we not able to complete PCI-based transactions with chat or in an AI chat tokens as an option? I get that question every now and then, and I could answer it, but I'd like you guys to answer it.
So I'll jump in. So if you look at traditional just SMS texting, it's not secure. And so that is why if a person wants to fulfill a transaction over SMS, we have them click on a link that jumps them out into a secure SSL page. They can do their login, put in their credit card information, and then we pass over that token back over to the agent to let them know that this is authenticated. And by the way, it doesn't have to be just credit card information. It could also just be like a user login. If you need to authenticate that you are an actual customer of ours, me speaking as a business, I can make sure that I am talking to the right person. Now let's flip over to Google and Apple Business Chat. They are on a secure channel. So if you are conducting checking out on a shopping cart through Apple Business Chat, you can use Apple Pay right from there in that inline experience. So we are going to be seeing more and more what is being known as conversational commerce taking place on your mobile phone, and you can do it right there within your text message, which is fantastic.
I could not agree more with you on the mobile commerce piece for sure. Well, thank you, Paul, for that question, and Lawrence, because I know others have asked me, so I want to call that out. Let's move on. Okay, off messaging, bots, chat bots. Oh my God, we've had so many conversations in the community over the years. Love them, hate them, whatever else in between, but I think it really is how we structure them, how we implement them, and how we create authenticity with that bot, and also disclosure that if need be, it's a bot. if we could go to the next screen, next slide. So, panelists, I'm going to start with why and when, and let's go with Shelley. Give us a little bit of background. What made you decide to try bots? When did you add them, and what kind of bot? What was the bot doing? What is the bot doing today? Do you disclose it's a bot if I'm a consumer? Give us the story.
So we went live with SMS about a year ago, but we went live with a bot about a month ago. And we knew that that was part of our roadmap, that was the next phase. We had to make sure we had a tool that allowed us to do the chat and SMS in the same tool so that we could get the maximum benefit out of consumer-facing bots. We absolutely tell the consumer, we don't say, hey, this is a bot, but similar to what you do with an IVR, we're using it as an intent bot before the consumer gets to the agent to basically identify what the consumer is calling about and then get them queued to the right specialist that can help them. And so we say we'd like to ask you a few questions before we put you in contact with an agent. So we absolutely are transparent about that. And what we thought would happen was that we would get less typing, more efficiency by the agent because they would just be getting the questions out of the way and we'd then get them to the right specialist. We really thought that we would be able to save on training costs because we would be able to just specialize agents rather than having to train every agent on chat and SMS to be a generalist. That training time can be 3 to 4 weeks depending on which product. And so we knew we wanted to gain some efficiencies by getting specialists in place so that we wouldn't have to do that. So that was why we wanted to go with bots. And then I don't know if it's the next slide or a couple down that has the impact.
Yeah, we'll hold on impact right now for Shelley. Let's stick with just the why the bots, but yes, we will get there. Shelley, you said intent bot. Can you give me an example of intent bot in your world?
Sure. Yeah, and we actually have some screenshots later. And it's very similar to an IVR in that you're asking the customer, you know, what product are you contacting us about? What's the general topic that you're contacting us about? And then depending on which thing, we may ask them one additional question. For example, what's your error code? What's your serial number? So that information is all brought in and automatically put into the agent's desktop so that they don't have to ask those questions and they don't have to fill out the form. It's all there waiting for them. So by the time it gets to the agent, they can just start handling the issue.
Perfect. We'll wait to the screenshots, but thank you for that clarification. Kim, let's go to you. The question was bots, why, when? Any insight you can share with us on your side?
So actually very similarly to Shelley, ours is set up as a basic intro bot for the customer to answer simple questions. We have it in our voice as we continue throughout the bot. And you can see on the slide here, we have 4 choices for the customer to choose from. And order will go to another bot that asks what their order number is. Products will say, awesome, what item are you looking at? Which is a nice intro question. And hopefully the customer knows that they're talking to a live person. And then our catalog is our most successful bot, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And then other directs it to an agent directly. I think I will say that, you know, Shelley said she has the separated agents. I have 7 agents that handle everything from start to finish. They need to be trained efficiently in all parts of Stio. So this bot alone helps them figure out what section they're going to be in. If it's going to be, you know, handling their order or shipment confirmations or product, or if it is the catalog. So it's really streamlined what my agents know they're getting into before they start manually typing to the customer.
Perfect. Lawrence, let's go down a couple slides to the Q&A bots again, and we talked a little bit about the why, the when, so thank you again for the case studies, Shelley and Kim. Let's talk results and a little bit of the future. Kim, let's go back to you to the next slide here, and let's talk results.
Yeah, so results, actually, Lawrence and I were just crunching some numbers the other day, and the biggest difference with our bot, you'll see here, is the catalog mailing. We drop millions of catalogs throughout the year, and this past one being our holiday season is by far our biggest. So we calculated with this bot, we saved 83 agent hours in the last 2 weeks alone. And given that we are already in our holiday season, our holiday catalog dropped beginning of November, we are full on in holiday mode. So that 83 agent hours are hours that my staff would have had to do manually. And that's really just priceless for me to be able to get them through this holiday season.
So Kim, these are simple things that is not, the consumer can sort of self-take care of, the bot take care of, not getting into more complicated stuff, I guess, but just simple order inquiry or ordering or whatever it is, just simple things that the bot can handle. The customer satisfied, quick resolution, and you're saving agent productivity hours.
Correct. That's exactly right. And in the example of this catalog mailing, you know, that person certainly doesn't want to talk to us. They want to just go onto an online form and fill it out. And that's been hugely successful with the bot to direct them to the right place to do so.
Kim, where do you see in a year from now the bot going for you guys? Is there a situation that's going to get more technical or more entrenched, or is it just a learning in greenfield at the moment we're evaluating?
Yeah, we're taking it step by step for sure. Our the next thing we did was Shopify. So we integrated with Shopify about a week after we launched our bot. The integration with Shopify is very new with Quiq, and we'll be launching more, I think, in the next few months with that checkout in their cart. So we have some pretty big things coming down the line with Quiq and with Shopify, and I'm not sure how the bot will grow right now, but what's great about our bot is if I don't like something or it's not working for me, I can change it. I can change it very quickly, usually the same day. So I'm constantly manipulating and working through any hiccups, if there are any, or how I can improve that efficiency for the customer.
Perfect. Anything else, Lawrence, you want to share to the screen, or before we move to Shelley's results? And I did get a couple of questions come in, and I will get to those as soon as we finish with Shelley's results on the bot.
No, I think I'm thrilled that, Kim pointed out, our Shopify integration, again, it ties into that concept of that conversational commerce, and now from an agent's perspective, a bot can be asking a series of questions to figure out what kind of an item you're looking for. And then behind the scenes, we could be looking at their e-commerce platform, which is Shopify for Stio, and we can pull up, what the right item would be, and this is an enhancement for the agent. These are the efficiency tools that make agents, better at their job. And that's what Quiq is providing.
Perfect. Shelley, let's talk your results.
Sure. So flip to the next screen. So right out of the gate, again, we've only been live with the bots for about a month now. So we saved a week of training time by being able to specialize our agents and not train them on everything to start with. All of our customer measures, increased CSAT, customer effort, NPS, they all went up even higher than what they did when we initially launched just SMS alone. And then our handle time decreased. I have another 21%. I think Quiq said around 8%. So either way you look at it, over and above what we got with just SMS launches, we got another decrease in handle time when we had the bots in place doing that intake up front.
Shelley, in your world, before next slide, how do you guys measure customer effort? What's the metric, or you look at customer effort?
Yeah, so we do a survey at the end of each of our transactions and send it to the customer. And one of the questions we ask is around the level of effort. How much effort did they felt it took in order to get their question resolved?
Perfect. Thank you. We'll go to the next slide.
So this is our actual bot. So you come to our Contact Us page, and you have both the option to chat and text message. You see that it's for a Nintendo Switch family of topics only, and then you get the initial box to the right there. If you go to the next slide, these are the next three screens the consumer would get. So the first one asks, hi, and what topic or what product are you contacting us on? And the thing that's nice about this is that depending on whether it's SMS, chat, or Apple Business Chat, those bubbles look very different. So if it was SMS, it'd be A, B, C, D, E, and you would select which letter option to return. If it's chat, you just select the bubble, and that returns the information to the bot. The bot then asks the next few questions, and as soon as they've answered the last question, it goes live to an agent. The thing that's really cool about Quiq is that they have the option of transferring in and out of a bot. I think they call it a bot is like an agent, and so it acts like an agent, and you can see how many people are engaging in your bot at any one time, and then it transfers out of the bot into the agent. The agent sees all those answers, and then based on that, they can actually launch an additional bot if they want to gather additional information.
Shelley,
so it's a really quick process.
Hold there for a minute. Does that transport all the record history or all the previous contacts to whatever the CRM or the agent has at the desk, that in and out?
Yep. Yep, it sure does.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the agent can transfer out to the bot, get additional information, then have it come right back to the same agent. And they can be handling other bots at the same time or handling other contacts at the same time while the bot is finishing up gathering of data and then comes back to them.
Okay, a whole nother conversation, but thank you for pointing that out. That's great to know. And that's part of the functionality, I think you said, of the Quiq platform, so interesting. Okay, Shelley, there was another slide I think you had on results or screen share.
Yeah, so on the left-hand side of the screen is simply the final message after the consumer has selected all the items from the bot. And you can see it says, thanks, I'm placing you into a chat with a support specialist. And on the right-hand side of the screen is what our agent sees when that gets sent to them. So you can see they can see all the answers to the questions.
So clarification, Kim and Shelley. Shelley, your journey with bots been the last month. Kim, how long has your journey been with actual bot implementation, did you say?
Actual bot is the 1st of September.
Okay. How long, my question to both of you is, before we go to the next slide, how long did the build up or the work take to get to actual launch? Is there any advice or any information for our brands that are listening right now, what that journey looked like to the start, to the end, to the launch?
For Stio, it was actually one day. I sent what I wanted my bot to look like in a perfect dream world, and within that day, I had my test site up and running. I was able to play with the test site for as long as I wanted, and when I was ready to go, we pulled the trigger and we went live. It was very quick, it was very easy, and it was a seamless transition.
Kim, just for my clarification, when you did the bot, was it a DIY application, do it yourself, or was this something in the Quiq platform? Or
Quiq did for me, yes. I sent to them what I would like it to look like, all my words and everything for Stio, and then it was created from there.
Okay, perfect. Shelley?
So there's two different types of bots you can do with Quiq. The first one is an out-of-the-box solution, which is just ask a question, get an answer, ask a question, get an answer. If you want to ask a question and then based on that answer, provide one or two other questions, that is a custom bot. And we had a custom bot because based on the answer to the question, we had different responses we wanted the bot to give. And so for us, it took us writing the script, which was, a day or two, and then we got it to Quiq in a day or two, it came back. But
okay,
you need
perfect.
to know which kind of bot you want.
Excellent points. Thank you, Kim, Shelley. Let's move to the next slide. Lawrence, just a time check. We've got a lot of questions that are coming in, and we've got a few more. So, Lawrence, I'm going to turn this to you.
Sure. A lot of these topics have already been covered, but the things that I just really want to clarify is what's nice about our bot framework is it works regardless of the channel. And, Shelley preluded to that earlier, with Nintendo. We're using Quiq, for text messaging and business messaging, and they were using another provider for chat. Having two separate silos, two different software systems, that really doesn't work. So by having all of your business messaging, online chat, and all of your business messaging with APC and web chat, now our bot can handle, all those different conversations. The other thing that I wanted to point out with our bots is not only do you have to use our bot, but if you're building your own bot with your own proprietary system, or you're using something with like Microsoft or Google Dialogflow or Amazon Lex, we can work seamlessly with third-party bots as well. So we can work with both with our own bot, where you can customize it, building your own, no problem. Third-party bots, we accept those as well. So
I'll just advocate, I'll play a little devil's advocate. The bot is not the end-all be-all. It is definitely a supplement component. I think it really goes back to knowing your brand, knowing your customers, knowing all sorts of things. But I do believe that there's no reason in greenfield opportunity to test and try things in small pilot groups or looking at things. I'm a consumer, you're a consumer. I know how I like to engage with the brands for support and resolution. I think, that's going to continue. And if there's the option to quickly resolve my whatever the situation is, and a bot can do that, and I don't have to pick up the phone or anything else in between, one and done, it's fantastic. It serves a purpose. It's not intended to replace 100% of everything by any means, but it definitely serves a purpose. I don't know if there's any counter argument, Lawrence, Kim, or Shelley, you want to make. Bot serves a purpose. It's a very meaningful thing that we need to look at and continue to look at.
I'm going to second to that, Chad. I'm happy you mentioned it, because if you've listened to both Shelley and Kim, they've just gone live. They're already seeing, the ROI back. The adoption rate is through the roof for them, and we're talking about months and weeks here. So clearly we're onto something that's right.
Yeah, and I can't express my support of those comments as well, because the issue is not that we want to just only use bots. It's that combination that improves the agent efficiency and the consumer effort. When those two things come together, then your bot is the right solution to have. And the thing that's nice is that if a consumer asks, am I talking to a person? That bot sends them right back to a person who can then respond. So it like interrupts the bot and takes them back to the person. So the idea is we're not trying to trick the consumer. We're not trying to stop them from talking to the agent. We're just trying to make that experience be as seamless and effortless as possible for both the agent and the customer.
Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. All right, we're going to quickly have a little fun here and debunk some myths. And this is open to anyone on the call to or listening today. If you've got a different opinion or different thought, feel free to put a chat in or a question. So bots are hard to implement. Bots will replace agents. Bots will frustrate users. Bots technology is still too early. Bots are expensive. I guess we could counter this in many, many different ways. But if you're sitting within this framework, I think we could debunk these myths and give an argument to a number of different things. I would say, though, and I'm going to turn to the panelists here shortly, is that, like anything, it's got to be done with intent. It's got to be measured. It's got to be thoughtful. It's got to be strategized. It's got to be put in a test mode or some way to user test. If you don't do those type of things, then some of these things would become real. It would frustrate users, other types of stuff. Panelists, nothing really structured in a question here, but just reaction to this slide. Anything you want to add or counter?
Speak to the bots will replace agents with my numbers of 83 agent hours in the last 2 weeks. Some think that bots would replace agents, but they honestly don't. What it's doing for me right now is funneling information from the customer to an automated system that is clogging up the system for my agents to be able to help a customer with a real question. So it's allowing my agents to be more engaged with the customer and answer questions that are real, true, live questions.
Perfect. Well, is there anything else, Lawrence or Shelley? Because we've got 3 quick slides left, and I want to make sure we get to some questions and answers coming in from the audience.
I'm good.
All right. Next slide. We have 3 quick slides here, and then we'll get to questions and answers. Kim, I think this is you.
Right. Well, I said this to Lawrence before. If you haven't considered messaging, I actually think you're crazy. If you haven't turned it on yet, you absolutely should. It will enhance the customer experience greatly. Right now, our bot is providing a 24/7 solution for smaller companies like Stio. And even those after-hour services are setting us up for success for the next day. Honestly, I wouldn't change anything with how our bot and how our messaging is working today.
So Kim, if I go online to order a jacket, am I dealing with a bot? What am I dealing?
Well, it depends. If you go online to order a jacket, and if you have a question, you can engage with the bot on our site. It follows our site around to every single page. If you have a simple question, you can just plug it right in there. It will go to my agent once you answer the appropriate questions. So we are set up for success in knowing what you're asking. In conjunction with that Shopify integration, it will show what items the customer might be looking at, or even down the line, it will show us their whole cart. So it really just provides that insight on what the customer is looking at and providing that more engaged experience.
Great job. Had a little fun with you, but thank you for that clarification. And again, the reduction in agent hours and other stuff. Thank you. Great case study for where you're at in the journey with this. I'm excited for you guys. Kim, keep up the journey. Shelley, next steps. What's next?
So for us, we're really focusing on how do we make the agent experience easier? How do we allow them to be able to do more than 2 or 3 conversations at the same time without their screen getting so overwhelming? The other one is how do we always keep that customer in the channel? We never want to get to the end and say they have to call us. And so working with Quiq on their solution for commerce is really important to us. And then how do we make it be just an easy experience for that customer so that they don't even know when it's a bot versus a person, but whichever one they want, it's meeting their needs in the moment. And at the end, they simply are happy and resolved. So that's where we're focusing right now.
Perfect.
Oh, and I would say the only other thing is that, like I said, we got slammed with consumers wanting to use the channel. And so making sure that you are prepared from a resource perspective is very critical for the success.
Could be a whole other conversation on that comment alone. But good point. Very, very good point, Shelley. And continue to keep us a well of what advice you'll see in learning through this. The next slide, and then we're getting to the Q&A. Lawrence, for you on this slide.
Yeah, this is just, to help answer the questions for the people in the audience right now. They're like, wow, this sounds awesome. I want to be just like Nintendo and Stio. How do I get involved? How do I make this happen? Well, it's easy as 5 steps. Number one, if you have a CRM of record, which one is it? And let's get integrated, whether it's Oracle, Sales Cloud, Zendesk, or if you don't have one, we work standalone as well. Next, you got to be committed to turning on the messaging. You want to be the message of choice, which then goes into step 3, which is, which channels do you want to turn on? You can turn on all of them, or you can turn on the ones that you would like to select. As we said, we offer a broad range of channels for you to select from. Step number 4 comes in, and that is enabling your agents to be productive and successful. To Shelley's point right now, they got slammed by everybody wanting to go to the the channel of choice, which is messaging. And that's where Quiq really shines. We've built these agent efficiency tools, intelligent routing, snippets, cute on demand, being able to throttle what comes in and being able to respond quickly and slowly to the cadence of how people are texting you. That is where, Quiq really, really shines. And then you want to go into the advanced mode. We can go to step 5, and now you can have a bot get involved, both from a front door perspective or even a specialty bot that you'd want to later transfer to. So I know that was quick, but that's what we do. But it's in 5 steps. You can be up and running with Quiq as your platform.
And the great news is with today's webinar, all our participants, listeners, are going to get a copy of all these slides tomorrow, including the recording that you can share and do whatever necessary information you need to do with. Let's get into some questions, and I'm going to prepare. We've had a very active audience with lots of questions. Thank you so much for your patience through here. I don't have the first name of this guest, but it's in the question answer box. What is the average drop-off rate associated with SMS and bot experience, and how is this migrated? this is for any one, three of you, but basically, what is the average drop-off rate associated with SMS and bot experience, and how is this migrated? Any insights there?
So I think it depends on what they mean by drop-off rate. Is it the number of customers who start a conversation but then are not there when the agent gets to it? Is that the question?
For the purpose of this question, let's use that as an assumption.
Okay, so it's quite high, especially if you're having staffing or resources issues. So it can range from like maybe 2% when you are well-staffed up to as much as 25% if you're not well-staffed. So there is some of that going on, but if you're staffed and can get to those consumers when they send the message, it's very low.
Okay. Keep moving on unless there's any other comment. Okay. Tim, in the chat box or in the chat section of today's platform webinar, Tim's asking what % of total support use cases / issue types can the bot handle? So is there kind of a general, I don't know, is it 20%? What are you finding? Like general, what % of total use case issues types can the bot handle? That's the first question. There's a second question to that. Any just early reaction, any ideas there? Or Lawrence, from across your client set, is there kind of a rule of thumb that you're seeing?
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at across the board of all of our different customers. I mentioned it earlier where you can have the bot that is the, you know, the welcome bot, the concierge, you know, saying, how can I best, you know, route you? And, you know, that use case is 100%. It's talking to everybody that walks in. But then we have other customers where they've designed a specialty bot, a bot that just aids with the agent. But then if I need to facilitate a return, if I need to troubleshoot a diagnostic issue with a router, I can then transfer it over to our router bot, and then that router bot would then take over and do the troubleshoot. Keep in mind, the agent can watch the bot, you know, as it engages with the customer to make sure that the proper answers are being, you know, answered. So I don't have a rough number of how many times the bot.
Here's from an overall community area, Lawrence. I would sort of my gut check, and again, this is kind of an average of an average, and depending on the complexity, and every brand's so different. But my general reaction, Tim, was what % of total support use case issue types can the bot handle? I'm going to throw out 20 to 30%. Again, depending on the complexity and depending on some other stuff, that number is obviously increasing and going to increase. But that's kind of my initial gut reaction, and it could go. I mean, it can vary.
It varies by use case.
Yeah. So the second part of that, what % of these can be completely resolved via the bot versus needing to get a live agent involved? Again, I would answer from my perspective of the community, pretty high, 90 to 100%. If not, there's something wrong in the scripting or in the way the tree flows are working or something, but it's pretty high.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that what we like about the Quiq bots is that it can go back and forth. And so you don't have to say, oh, we're only going to do a bot. And so you don't have to box your customer in that way. You can bring them back to an agent when either the customer or the agent feels it's appropriate.
Okay, let's move on. Adam, this is from Adam to Kim. Kim, he referenced you saved 83 hours. How many associates do you normally have to handle that volume? What % was that?
Yeah, so I have 7 agents total full-time, and obviously our business volumes do fluctuate throughout the year. So that 83 agent hours is in addition to what I'm already doing full-time. So honestly, those are hours that we are not necessarily accounted for. I mean, we account for them as far as what our business volume will be, and we will get it done, but it's so seamless and something that I just tag as priceless for us.
Yeah, I'm going to make a recommendation. I mean, we have a lot more questions that have come in, obviously time. We could do one of two things. The panelists, we can stay online and keep recording, and those that can stay with us, great. Or we could just get the questions to you and we write them in written form and try to get them back out to the audience. I'm buying either way if we got an extra 10 minutes as a group, or but I am aware of our guest and I'm aware of their questions, and I'm going to open it up to what can work for you guys, one or two.
I have extra time.
I'm open this day.
Okay. So audience, we're going to continue to stay on for an extra 10 minutes to answer the questions that have been coming up. They will be part of the recording. If you can remain with us, that is fantastic. If you have to drop off because of time, I get that too. You will get the recording. I really want to say thank you for your listenership today, but let's move on. A lot of questions is a very good thing. It's top of mind for all of us right now. So I'm just going to start rifling here with a little bit of time we have here. Elizabeth had asked, do members typically rate the bot? Is it calculated as part of the CSAT? Shelley, any insight on that? Do members rate it, and is it calculated part of CSAT?
So it is calculated as part of CSAT, but we don't say, hey, how did the bot do versus how did the agent do? We just say, how was your customer experience overall? And then any comments on the agent specifically. We haven't thought to ask a specific question about the bot experience.
Kim, for you, anything there?
Our NPS scores are based on post-purchase, which does include what the customer experience was like on the site.
Okay. Shelley, this question came for you. It says, for Nintendo, was a financial business case ROI for bots able to be developed? And if so, was it driven primarily by agent AHT reduction or overall live contact reduction? Great question. I'd love to hear your answer on that.
Yeah, it was AHT reduction, and we have achieved our ROI on that. We hope that we'll also get to call volume reduction, but we're not there yet.
Okay. From Con, what happens when the bot is trying to transfer to an agent, but the agent is occupied or unavailable? Kim or Shelley, any insight there that you have from this?
Well, my agents are always available all the time, so everyone should be online during those appropriate business hours. Outside of the business hours, we have another bot that pops up and tells them that we are not in the office at this time, but we will be back in and respond to your questions as soon as possible.
Yeah, ours, if there are no agents available, it queues similar to what it would be on the phone. And then after hours, it explains that we're closed and get to it during normal business hours.
Lawrence, thank you, Shelley and Kim, for those two immediate examples. Lawrence, from an overall client set, what happens when the bot is trying to transfer to an agent, but the agent is occupied or available? Do you have any other sort of insight or perspective, what you've been hearing across your client set?
Yeah, no, so great question. So what'll happen is this. So if I'm an agent, I'm currently servicing, we'll just say 2 customers. And then that customer is requiring help with, let's say, facilitating the return, and it goes to the return bot. The return bot is now handling that time with that customer. I can then be freed up to work on the second customer that I'm working on. And then the moment that the bot is done facilitating its questions or its insights, it will then transfer it back to me. So it wouldn't be any different of, you could think of it as an agent now having, 4 hands instead of 2 hands. They're just able to work that much faster.
Okay, perfect. Lawrence, I'm going to ask you this question to you, again, looking across the client lens that you support. What is the typical wait time for responding asynchronously via SMS or messaging? What is the typical wait time? And again, I know it can vary, but if you just had some averages or some ideas.
It really does vary. And so what I would like to speak to isn't so much what the actual wait time is, but the tools that we have in place. So what happens is we sit down with our customers and we ask them, what's your SLA? How quickly do you want to get back to a customer? And then what we do is we have a set of what we call agent handle time timers. And so it will count down the time of when you need to be able to respond to that person. And if you as an agent can't respond within that allotted time, that customer then moves over to another agent that's free. So we've designed it so that way we are responding to our customers incredibly fast.
Perfect. Okay, we're just going to keep Q&A rifling here, so bear with the format. So basically, this question is for you, Lawrence, came through the chat platform. Can the Quiq bot be used for assisting the consumer to fill out a form and upload images?
Yes, and the answer is both. In fact, the way that our bot actually can handle a form just doesn't ask the series of questions. It can actually fill out the form that you have on your CRM or your contact of record for you, which is another agent efficiency tool. And you know, and if you want to witness our bot firsthand, if you go to goquiq.com and you click on the contact us in the bottom right corner, you are actually engaged with our bot firsthand. You can see how the flow actually works. But yes, you can also upload images, videos. The bot could actually send it back to you as well. So those are all features that our bot can perform.
Perfect, thank you. Kim, Shelley, what are your thoughts about conversational bots versus menu style? I'd have to go back and remind which way you guys went.
I think mine is certainly what were the two options again? I can't remember. Conversational versus.
Yeah, conversational versus menu style.
Yeah, ours is menu style right now.
Ours is both.
Both? I'll take this as a note. I'll have to research this. I'm curious to what is the predominant, if anyone on this call has an idea or insight on that, I would be curious to kind of where that's all shaping up to be. Tara, thank you for your question here. So I think this is to you, Shelley. So what's the right timing for customer survey? So Nintendo goes out when the interaction ends, but when is it fully asynchronous? Where is the end? Does that help?
Yeah. So the asynchronous, the way it ends is either after a full amount of timeout time or when the agent says this is closed and it's been taken care of. And then we send out the survey on the back end through our Oracle Service Cloud once they see that the actual incident or the contact has been closed. So it's not so much whether the window is closed, it's whether the contact record in Oracle Service Cloud is closed, and that's what generates the survey.
Okay, last question here, and folks, I cannot take any more questions, but I tell you, reach out to Execs in the Know. We'll get these questions answered. We'll get you involved in the community to help answer some very, very informative questions. Thank you. The last question is, where did it go? Because more are still coming in. This is from Adam. We talked about the bot including items in the cart. Is the bot able to integrate into current business systems to complete an order without human interaction? Kim, Shelley, do you know?
I don't know. I'll let Lawrence answer this question, though.
Yeah, so it really depends on what kind of a shopping platform you're on, but that is the vision of where our team is going, is to take it to that level. So that is definitely something that's on our roadmap.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to go ahead and quickly conclude and wrap up the session right now. First of all, outstanding webinar. Thank you to our panelists, Lawrence, Kim, and Shelley. I found this very, very useful and well worth my time and our listeners' time, I'm sure, and we'll see the ratings as they fill out the survey links. But we're not in this alone, folks. Get involved. Execs in the Know is a sharing CX community, and I would encourage you to get involved. Don't do this alone. We have so many leaders like Kim and Shelley and others that are willing to participate and share their insights in a very unfiltered way. I can't thank all of you to your time making customer number one. As we head into 2020, I just want to congratulate you for everything you're doing to have customer success within your organization. Share your story, share your insights. I'd love to hear from you. What are you doing and what successes are you having? We want to get them propelled out there within the larger community. So on behalf of myself, Chad McDaniel with Execs in the Know, thank you to today's webinar. We're now going to close session. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.